One thing I found out when I inventoried my hats is I have a lot of Vegas Golden Knights hats. And that doesn't necessarily surprise me because A, I've gone to Vegas tons being three times. And B, I don't have very many jerseys. I just have this All Star jersey in their home and away because that's all they've had. Where's the third jersey, Vegas? And so yeah, various hats because I can't really vary what I wear when it comes to jerseys. And I'm wearing the Vegas one tonight for Vegas reasons. So let's start things off with Buffalo in against Colorado. And you know what? It is that time of year where we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs. And as fun as that is, this result tonight, I feel bad for Buffalo. The Sabres had a good game. And what's going to come out of this is the narrative that, well, they're done. I don't. It is harder and harder to see the math working for them. Basically, what they need is they need Florida and Toronto to continue to struggle. But Florida and Toronto play each other tomorrow. So somebody's getting 2 points out of that game. And whatever happens, it's going to put Buffalo further behind the eight ball. They really needed this one tonight. They got an early power play. Not only that, but they were ahead in the shots 7-1, 9 minutes into the first period. So all of the indications early were Buffalo came to play tonight. Hutton denied Makar, and then he denied Donskoy on a break. The Avs pushed at the 11-minute mark, just could not get a goal in there. But eventually, that kind of pressure, you get a power play out of it. The Avs did, and they scored. It's Landeskog from Compher and McKinnon at 14:24. Nathan McKinnon's he's from another planet, I swear. But Buffalo played pretty darn well. And they came back. It's Gergensons from Okposo and Larson at 16:21. And I think Okposo is playing the best hockey he has since Buffalo signed him. Really, in all honesty, he's been playing very, very well since coming back from injury. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but he is starting to look like the guy they signed. So that tied it up. And after they tied it up, the Sabres had a healthy amount of momentum going into the break. So second period, the Avs get a power play early on, and there was a good shorthanded chance for Montour. Well, they were shorthanded. But Kaut scores his first NHL goal. That's on the power play from Hamenev and Girard at 7 minutes and 15 seconds. And so that makes it 2-1. And then the Avs pushed for more. They got pretty close to getting another one around the 8 minute mark. And so the pressure, it feels like, is all now on Buffalo and on Carter Hutton. But before that period's out, Curtis Lazar with a tip in front of the net from McCabe. Verleek with the other assist at 14:56. And so the Sabres, again, they get back into the game. They tie it up. They also get a late power play. They don't score on it, but they definitely look dangerous. So third period starts. It's a 2-2 tie. Both teams with mediocre records when tied going into the third. Okposo had a chance to miss tie early. The Avalanche then had a goal, but it's immediately waved off. They say, no, it's a high stick. And there was no challenge on it. The Avs didn't try to say, hey, no, it was below the bar. It's one of those ones where basically if a referee says it's a high stick, you got to take his word for it because I didn't see an angle that definitively showed whether it was or wasn't above the crossbar. So you got to take his word for it. Francouz and Hutton were both playing very, very well in this game early in the third period. The Avalanche pushed around the halfway mark. They didn't score during that push, and yet at 11:54, Compher scores from Donskoy and Jost. So eventually, Hutton allows that goal. It goes to 3-2. And then the Avalanche again, they pushed to add to that lead, much like they had after the Kaut goal. And the Sabres were in trouble. But the Sabres do manage to get some shots. Olofsson and Reinhardt had near misses. However, there's a late power play for the Avs. That really takes the wind out of their sails. Lazar then broke his stick, and it was kind of a 5-on-3.5. So they were very fortunate. Hutton got it and held on to it. They do pull the goalie with a minute and a half left. They called the timeout late to try to figure something out, and it just didn't work out for them. So Colorado wins this game. Big win for Francouz, who was the first star in the NHL last week. 31 saves on 33 shots. Ho-hum for him. Hutton, 31 saves on 34 shots. I said Francouz was a good goalie. 3 stars are Kaut, Compher, and Jost. Power plays 0 for 2 for Buffalo, 2 for 3 for Colorado. Shots 11-9 Buffalo in the first, 11-9 Colorado in the second, and in the third, 14-13 in favor of the Avalanche. Final shots 34-33 in favor of the home team, and they get that 1-goal victory. Big win for Colorado. With that win, they bounce past Dallas. They're 3 points now behind the St. Louis Blues, and they have 2 games in hand. So right now, they still have the potential to be first in the division if they can catch St. Louis. Both teams are playing very well right now. But for Colorado, they're taking care of business, and they did pass Dallas tonight, so things went pretty well for them. And for Buffalo, with that loss, they stay 10 points back of Columbus for a wild card spot, and they stay 8 points behind Toronto with only 1 game in hand now. So if they'd won this one tonight, they would have been within 6 with a game in hand, and it gets a little bit less dodgy. But yeah, with that loss, they really need to kind of win a bunch. They need to go on quite the streak in order to make it work. Next up, the Oilers. Well, tonight was a rough night for the Oilers. If you're an Oilers fan, you're likely not happy with the overall results of this game, and it's not just the score. Early on, the jump was all in favor of the Oilers. They had the first 3 shots of the game. They had a power play. Vegas got a power play after that, but you still got the feeling like the Oilers were playing pretty solid road game. Evenly played first half, but I thought it favored the Oilers a little bit. Then they get their second power play, do the Oilers, and Fleury robbed McDavid. And Marc-Andre Fleury, he robbed McDavid a few times tonight. Pacioretty would then score from Karlsson at 16:04, and this was in the midst of play where it kind of had favored the Oilers. In fact, before that goal, the shots were 12-6 in favor of the Oilers. So that momentum gets broken with that play, and we go into the second period, and the Oilers need to get it back. Now, the best way to get it back is Connor McDavid doing his thing, and he tried. And he looked dangerous on basically almost every play he was out there. Vegas pushes at the 6-minute mark. Koskinen was doing his best as that push continued, and it was really, really strong. Marchessault had a really nice chance going across the front of the net. Koskinen stays with him the whole way, doesn't allow a goal. Power play for Vegas. Very strong period for Vegas overall. Once the McDavid push early was over, it was a good period for them. But they take a penalty right at the buzzer. So the Oilers get to go back to the power play to start the third period. And it doesn't score. So early third, they don't score on the power play. And then Sheahan had a little bit of a mini break there and nice poke check by Fleury. And at this point, the Fleury chance had really got going. Draisaitl hits a post. Vegas gets a power play. And then Cousins on the power play. He scores from Martinez and Schmidt at 5:44. So Cousins continues this tradition now in Vegas where you're new, you score. Now, it's not the only case we've seen of that where brand new player scores once he reaches his new team, but it does seem like it happens in Vegas all the time. Here you go, here's your Vegas jersey, here's your chance. All right, and you score. Going back to like Ryan Carpenter. Where's Carpenter now? Not Vegas, so we don't talk about him. Vegas had really taken over the game at this stage too. The shots had been 22-6 since the first when that goal went in. So really, really strong Vegas presence. Now, at this point, they announce Andreas Athanasiou apparently suffered a lower body injury and will not return to the game. So this is where the wind comes out of the sails for Edmonton fans pretty darn quick. Athanasiou, who was a big pickup at the deadline. Now, they get Cassian back in the next game. That should help. But we're not sure how long Athanasiou is going to be out, and they already were down Yamamoto. That's not good news. Shea Theodore would then score almost at the halfway mark at 9:59 from Martinez and Stastny. So, Alec Martinez continues this amazing run since being traded to Vegas. And I would imagine, and I'm gonna say this again because I don't think I said it right the other day, Martinez has a year left in his contract. So they can't officially extend him until July. So I would think that they'll sit down with him at the start of July and they'll work out an extension beyond the expiration of that contract. He looks very, very good in Vegas. It's like it is exactly what they needed as this defenseman. So I would think he's going to extend his time there. And great game by Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury definitely out there tonight denying Draisaitl and McDavid every chance they had. Again, the chance were allowed. And Vegas does get the shutout. That's the 61st career shutout for Marc-Andre Fleury. He saves all 29 shots he faced. That's 7 wins in a row for Vegas. Koskinen, 30 saves on 33 shots. Your 3 stars are Fleury, Cousins, and Pacioretty. Power plays, Edmonton goes 0 for 3, Vegas goes 1 for 3. So the special teams should have favored Edmonton and didn't. Vegas definitely made sure that wasn't the case tonight. Shots were 12-9 Edmonton in the first, 16-5 in favor of Vegas in the second. In the third, Edmonton did show that fight after that 2-0 goal. They did outshoot Vegas 12-8 in the third, but the final shots were 33-29. And that was in favor of Vegas. And once it was honestly 1-0 towards the end of the first, I thought Vegas kind of had it. So we'll see whether or not Vegas finishes first, and if we're going to be surprised if/when they do. Next up, Pittsburgh. Is Pittsburgh in trouble? This is 4 losses in a row now, and we've seen Washington go through this. We've seen the Islanders go through this. Columbus is in absolute dire straits. This is why Philadelphia has a real chance of moving up higher in the standings. There was an early Kings power play in this, and they score on it. And their power play came into tonight rated 24th in the NHL. It's Lizotte from Walker and Velarde. So Gabriel Velarde now 4 games as a King, 3 points. So that's not too bad. The Penguins get a power play, but a really good start for Peterson. Peterson played fantastic tonight. The Kings get a second power play. They don't score on that. And Crosby, it looked like he'd scored. He celebrated like he scored. Peterson reacted like the puck went in the net. Everybody went, there you go, good, fine. But Malkin's on the bench with the iPad, right, the tablet, and he could be seen mouthing the words by the announcers, no goal, that didn't go in. So they review it, and it's no goal. And Crosby actually, when he gets over to the bench, had to look at it and realize that it had hit the crossbar and dropped, but it never actually crossed the line. So that was a weird one where I thought, all right, so it's a goal for Crosby, and then never went in the net. So second period starts, and it started weird. They showed that the USA Rugby Sevens team was there, and they had guest announcer who was part of this. And you know what? Sometimes I complain about the guest announcers and this whole guest thing and cross sports kind of thing. But this was fun, I have to admit. This was actually kind of a fun thing. And maybe it's because I didn't enjoy playing rugby, but I enjoy watching rugby. And rugby is a really brutal sport. So the Penguins get a power play. I'm going somewhere with this too. And then they kept talking to the rugby guy. And not only that, but he talked about how he liked Malkin. And he liked how strong he was. He was a big physical guy. And just the way that he plays and how fast he is and how skilled he is. And I thought, he's right. Malkin moves pretty well for a big guy. And he is really, really strong on his skates. So, for an outsider who may just be going, this hockey thing's kind of fun, he was impressed with Malkin, and I don't disagree with that at all. Peterson denied Simone. The shots were 9-3 in favor of the Penguins at the halfway mark. The Penguins get a power play, and they don't score on it. So the Penguins' power play, it's unsuccessful there, didn't get a goal tonight. And then Dustin Brown threw a fantastic hit, but it was on Iafallo. So they collided. And the interesting thing is Iafallo drops, and Brown, nothing. Dustin Brown is a solid hockey player. There's nothing. Iafallo bounced back up. He stays in the game. But yeah, don't collide with Dustin Brown. You will not get the better of it. Towards the end of this period, it's Lewis that scores from Lizotte and Moore at 19:28. And what's interesting about this is it was a great period for Pittsburgh. Really, in all honesty, they had a great second period, and they come out of the period down by another goal. So third period, the shots are 7-2 for the Penguins at around the 6.5-minute mark. Brian Rust would score from Malkin and Hornquist at 6:42. There's something about, as soon as I put the shots up and how far we are into a period, you end up getting a goal pretty quick after. So yeah, Rust scores to make it a 2-1 game. Coming out of that, the Kings get a 2-on-1. I believe it was Kopitar that almost had a goal on that. Jari then denied Lizotte, so Lizotte had a pretty darn good game. The Penguins had control. They really did. They had control for most of that third period. Most of the second period, just could not get it. They pull the goalie with a minute and a half left. Then there's a whistle, so they put Jari back in. They win the face-off, so they pulled him again with a minute and 5 seconds left. but it doesn't matter. Your final score is 2-1 in favor of the Kings. Not a lot of goals scored tonight. It was a quiet night for goals, but some good goaltending tonight. Jari, 20 saves on 22 shots. Peterson steals this one, 35 saves on 36 shots. This is why I couldn't understand Peterson being in the minors to start the season. I couldn't understand why they sent him down last year. The kid's ready. So Lazat's your first star, Peterson second star, and there's Malkin with the third star for the Penguins. Power plays 0 for 3 for Pittsburgh, 1 for 2 for the Kings. Shots were 8 apiece in the first period, and then in the second, 14-6 Pittsburgh, and in the third, 14-8 Pittsburgh. Final shots, 36-22, as Peterson just he denied the Penguins, and that's your final. So for the Penguins, with the loss, they sit 4 points back of Washington. They are only 1 point clear of Philadelphia. Philadelphia does have one more game played than Pittsburgh. For the Kings, well, they put aside the inevitable. They are 18 points back of a playoff spot. I know they're 18 points away from being officially eliminated. Would have been 16 if they lost tonight, but they're 18 points, and that's a combination of points they lose or points that the team that's in the last spot in the playoffs accumulates. So for the West and the East, it's still 76 points to make it in the East, 70 points to make it in the West. We'll see where we end up at the end of the year. But some fun games tonight. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.